Yeah, I'm nervous. I feel fear. I'm still gonna do it. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, I am Ashleen, and this is a new kind of video that I'm gonna be doing. I usually post like singing videos and guitar tutorials, but today, as you can tell from the title, I'm going to be talking about my mental health journey, and my experience and what I've gone through. So if you are here and if you've clicked on the video, maybe you yourself are struggling with your own mental health. And yeah, and if you are struggling, I just want to say you aren't alone, and that it will get better no matter how hard it may seem right now. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. And yeah, I'm noticing I'm feeling pretty nervous, but I know that this might help one person out there by me talking about my story and struggle. So anxiety and depression is something that I've struggled with since my teen years. I'm in my mid-20s now, so it's something that I've dealt with for a long time, but obviously like in my teens and like as a kid, I didn't really know what it was. Growing up, kind of like moving into like 13, like around there, I noticed that I was a pretty shy kid. I would it would be hard for me to like make friends and stuff like that, and I'd just be like really quiet. I definitely cared a lot about like what my peers would think if I would speak up or really say anything, so I just kind of kept quiet. And yeah, I think I felt a lot of like nervousness and anxiety and fear towards like what other people would think about me, like as a kid and as a teen. And I think that's really normal, especially like that's such a transition age from like going to a kid to like a teen and like into your adolescent years. So yeah, I was just like really shy, and yeah, I just struggled really to connect with people my age. I think because I felt so shy and I felt really anxious. So yeah, within my teen years, I felt quite isolated. I didn't really have many friends. It was more kind of just like acquaintances or like classmates and stuff like that in school. So yeah, I felt really like isolated. Like during summer break when we would have like 2 months off, I'd really spend just kind of like a lot of time on my own, which that was difficult, especially like at that age, when you want to be like hang out with your friends and stuff like that. Yeah, I was kind of just spending a lot of time like on my own. So I think that really added to like start like I think that's kind of where like my depression kind of started, because I felt so isolated, and I was like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I make friends, or why can't I like socialize the way other people my age like socialize and make friends and stuff like that? So I would really beat myself up about that. And I think that really added to me feeling really down about myself. That's kind of where like my low self-esteem kind of started. Not really feeling confident in myself. That's kind of where like the comparison started to like other people my age. Like, why are they so outgoing? Why can't I be that outgoing? Why am I so shy? What's wrong with me? Like these kind of thoughts. And of course, like if anyone would have those thoughts, I could imagine, they wouldn't feel too good about themselves, especially if that's something that's consistently going through someone's head. And it basically just like adds fuel to the fire of feeling more and more depressed or feeling more and more anxious. So that's kind of how it was in like my teen years, and it progressed. It kind of like stayed this it or the depression kind of like lingered, and the anxiety was like always there, like the fear of like what other people would think about me. I would really focus a lot on like schoolwork and stuff like that instead of like the social aspects. Um, and kind of nearing like the end of high school and like the beginning of university, that's kind of when my depression really started to like get a lot worse. And again, that's like such a huge transition time, of course. Like if you're going through that right now, um, and you're transitioning from like high school to like college or like post-secondary, or just like transitioning out of high school not knowing what you want to do, or going into like the workforce, um, I mean, it would make a lot of sense if, you know, you were to feel like so uncertain, or if you are struggling like with depression or anxiety, like for it to get worse, because it's like so many things in life are changing at that point and so many things can seem uncertain. Um, so yeah, I definitely like experienced that going into like going out of high school into university. And university is when I think things got really bad in terms of like my depression. Um, so me going to university was something that I wasn't really looking forward to, but I think in my mind it was like I don't have any other choice. It's either I go to university or what else am I gonna do? So yeah, that's like a really helpless feeling, of course. Like if it's like it's either this option that I hate or like nothing else. So yeah, it's, I mean, of course, like there's people that thrive and do so well in university and love it. But for me, in my experience, it was something that was very difficult. It was very academic. Though I was really academic in high school, like it was just very different. And university is very fast paced. Um, I did enjoy some of the things I was learning, but yeah, just like an overall, like I didn't like the place I was in my life. I wasn't enjoying things in my life. And it just seemed to propel me down a spiral of like feeling more and more and more sad and more upset and angry and yeah, more depressed. And I felt even more isolated because I'm like, I felt like I couldn't really talk to anyone about it because I'm like, what if they judge me like for feeling this way? Or what if I tell someone and they don't get it? Or yeah, just like stuff like that. So the depression got to a point, kind of like in my early 20s, where it just got so bad that I started feeling like I didn't want to continue on with life. Um, I felt pretty suicidal in my early 20s, and it was really hard to deal with. Um, yeah, it was a really hard time of like everything just felt so helpless and hopeless. And um yeah, I just felt like I was in this dark hole and there was no light, and it felt like I couldn't get out. And I just felt so sad and I felt so angry. Like, why am I here? Like, what's the point of me being here in this depressed dark hole? Um yeah, and I just didn't want to continue on with my life. I didn't want to be alive anymore. Um, yeah, and the toll that it must have taken on my family to see me like that must have been very hard. Um, so yeah, I kind of just want to pause and take a moment here. If you are someone that's struggling with, you know, feeling so depressed that you feel suicidal, you don't want to live anymore, um, I want to let you know you're not alone, and that hold on to the little hope that I know is inside of you, because it won't always be like this. It will get better. Even though maybe right now it doesn't feel like it's gonna get better, hold on to the hope that it will get better and you will start finding enjoyment in your life again. Um, yeah, and if you do feel um, like you are really in harm's way, you're gonna hurt yourself, um, please do reach out. There are resources I've put in the description box, like a crisis text line. Um, Locally, where you live, there most likely is a suicide hotline that you can call. That's like 24/7, or a crisis line you can call. Or if you feel like you're in really, really need, like like it's an emergency, call 911 or go to the hospital or tell someone you trust to take you to the hospital, because there is always help out there. There are always options, and you always have a choice to get help, and help is always out there. So I just wanted to really say that, yeah, kind of at this point of the video. So yeah, at that point in my life, in my early 20s, I just didn't really see the point of like moving forward. And that's the point where I started, getting really scared and concerned for myself of like, what the heck is gonna like happen if I just don't enjoy my life anymore? Like, how am I supposed to live on if there's no enjoyment anymore? So at that point, my family really helped me and supported me, and I'm really grateful that I have such a supportive family. They kind of helped me get into contact with a counselor. And yeah, that's kind of like my early 20s, like 1920s, when I started going to counseling and unpacking my feelings and my thoughts and what I'd been through like as a kid and as a teen. And it was a really difficult experience, but also something that I knew that if I want to continue and if I want to find some enjoyment in my life, then I know that talking to someone, talking to a counselor is something that I was willing to try, and maybe it would help. And I found that it was helpful for me. It was very difficult at the beginning, especially like opening up to someone that you don't know. Like, it's like, what the heck? Like, I'm gonna tell you everything about my life. But eventually, after a few times seeing, the counselor, it started feeling like 1% better, 2% better, just like a little bit better. And it was like a safe space where I could like share how I honestly felt. So that was good. And that was something in my experience that helped me. So yeah, I think just kind of like on and off, like going through counseling and getting into my own self-development work of like reading a whole bunch of like books, or yeah, reading a whole bunch of books about like self-development. Like Brene Brown is one of my favorites. I took like a course in university about mindfulness and meditation. I started watching a bunch of like YouTube videos on, motivation, how I can motivate myself to feel better, and stuff like that. So that was something I started learning, like tools and like how I could help myself with dealing like with feeling so low and feeling the depressive feelings. And there would be times where I just didn't want to like do anything. Of course, I just like wanted to stay in bed and not leave and do anything. And then there was times where I'd feel like, motivated and like, I'm like, yeah, I can do this. Like, I'm never going to feel depressed again. Like, I'm going to get through this. And then a point would come again where I'd get into another, depressive episode. So it kind of just like ebbed and flowed. And I continued with counseling. I continued with like my self-development work and reading books, podcasts, like YouTube videos. And yeah, those were things that helped me. But it just still felt like every time I would get depressed, I'm like, why do I keep coming back here? Why do I keep having this like feeling of like it's not gonna get better? Like, why do I feel so hopeless like so often? So it's like, it kind of felt like I was like, okay, I'm going up this mountain, and then like a boulder would come, and that boulder's like depression, it would like knock me down, and like it felt like it took away from all of my like progress that I made. When of course in reality it didn't take away from the progress, because it's like all the things that I've learned in my life have helped me move forward every time I got a depressive episode, and it would help me get out of the depressive episodes quicker and quicker. So that's something that I take with me, and I know from my experience that like instead of looking at it maybe from a pessimistic view of like all my progress is gone when I feel depressed again, I kind of came to a place of like like being realistic or optimistic, and like saying that like, hey, yeah, I'm feeling depressed again, and that's okay because maybe this is something that's going to be a part of my life for a long time. So what can I do in this moment where I feel so crappy to help myself feel better? And the ways I help myself feel better is like all the tools that I've learned. Um, and yeah, so it kind of just continued on like that. It was like, it was a struggle. And I can separate myself from the depression because I'm not my depression. I'm Ashleen. I am capable regardless of my depression. I am capable of doing beautiful things in my life regardless of my depression. I realized that the job that I was at, it just wasn't serving me anymore, and I realized that it was really taking a toll more on my mental health. It gave me enough courage to quit this job and actually find something that I am passionate about to do for work in the world. And that's kind of when I came across coaching. I looked up a bunch of coaches kind of like online, and I was like, what? How? Wow, that's like amazing. Like how these coaches, they're like helping so many people. And I want to do that too, because I always recognized that I wanted to help people. I just didn't know really in what way. So I decided to sign up for a coaching course in the city that I live in, Vancouver. And I started learning about how to help people through coaching, how to help people through, hard emotions to, reach goals and, live a life that they enjoy. And through my coaching process, I realized that counseling is actually something that I want to pursue as well. It's more of where my heart is, because I see how much counseling has helped me with dealing with depression and feeling anxious and alone and lonely. And I wanted to become a counselor to help other people that are feeling depressed, that are feeling anxious, that are feeling suicidal, that are feeling like they're in a hole and they can't get out. So that's what I'm currently doing right now. I'm in school becoming a counselor. And like being in counseling school, it's like, it's a beautiful, scary experience because it's like you process a lot of the things that you've gone through throughout your life, and you learn so much and you cry so much and you just express so much emotion, and you're witnessed by your classmates doing this. It's it's a beautiful, scary experience. And with that, I also realized that I came to a place of acceptance that like depression is probably going to be something that I struggle with, maybe for the rest of my life. And I kind of came to a place of acceptance of that, because it doesn't mean that anything's wrong with me. It just means that this is my struggle, and I'm going to learn how to deal with it and cope with it, and learn how to live and enjoy my life with it as well, when it shows up or when it doesn't show up. And another thing that kind of came up was something that was overshadowed was the anxiety, because depression was so big. Anxiety was like, I didn't even notice it. And feeling anxious and nervous is something that I felt since like I was a kid. I felt like I always need to be like hyper vigilant, always needing to know what's gonna happen, or needing to know what I need to do, or just to keep myself safe, of course. So with that, the anxiety started taking more of a toll on me. And after talking to my doctor and my getting a referral from a psychiatrist, and talking to my counselor as well, seeing kind of my history of depression and also like anxiety that had been underlying, from what they saw in me and my experience, they thought that medication paired with counseling would be the best option for me. So I do take medication for my anxiety and depression. And I was definitely very resistant to it initially. I've tried, this is my third medication that I've tried within like 6 years. And it's hard because there's a lot of stigma surrounding taking medication for, if you have a diagnosed mental health illness. And I was very resistant to it. I was like, I want to do this on my own without the help of medication. But sometimes in some circumstances, and this is just from my experience, medication has been something that has been very helpful for me. And yeah, and if you think that, I just realized for myself that like the depression and anxiety got to a point, it's something that I've been struggling for so long, basically like all of my 20s, that like it was impacting the quality of my life and it was decreasing the quality of my life. So that is why I decided to go forward with medication, and also with all the other tools and counseling that I have and self-development work that I do, and the community and support that I have. The medication is just something that helps me. I guess kind of like, it's like weird because I guess I just like shared kind of like my mental health journey. And I feel actually really grateful. And I'm really proud of myself for sharing, because I know there's so many people out there that struggle so much with their mental health. And sometimes it just feels so hopeless and like, it's just so hard sometimes. So the reason I wanted to put this video out and share my story is to help at least one person out there, like, that feels like they don't want to continue on, or feels so depressed or so anxious or feels so overwhelmed. Hopefully maybe hearing my story maybe would help you. And if you are struggling right now, just know that you're not alone and that there is always help out there. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, and kind of just like share my story. I don't really know what else to say. I feel like I've been talking for a really long time, so I think I'm going to end the video here. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen and watch this video, and don't forget to give yourself a big hug today. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.